In this section, we continue analyzing how biology and media technology interact in the political arena. But this time, instead of describing how the psychology of political communication is stable, we discuss how different strategies try to free ride off of those communicating with honest intent. Deception is based upon there being a stable communication system in which we can predict how other entities will act. With this stability comes strategies by those that wish to take advantage of those stable patterns of behavior engaged in by the great majority of individuals. In other words, deception is as timeless as biology. The key is whether you trust or distrust communication from others. One thing we can be sure of is that deception is a part of life, just as communication is a part of life. If it is a part of the natural world, there is likely stable communication and deception going on. Using an evolutionary perspective, we can see that deception relies upon a stable communication system, then invades it with two different strategies. Incomplete honesty occurs when a signal exaggerates or attenuates a quality. Mimicry, for its part, copies signals and cues already in use and provides unreliable information. It works by exploiting the receiver's sensory process at the levels involving recognition and processing of stimuli. Another way of considering deception is comparing it with type 1 and type 2 errors in statistics. False positives are type 1 errors involving mimicry, in which we identify something that is not there, and false negatives are type 2 errors involving camouflage of some sort, so we do not detect something important that is there. Ultimately, to understand mimicry as deception, we should understand all three parties to this deception: the model, the mimic, and the receiver, or, less politely, the dupe. This, of course, is where we get into a high level of academic discussion as to what is the model and what is the mimic. But more important for us is we know who the receiver is, and that is what we focus on as we present the materials here. One of the ways in which we monitor the world is through our emotions. When we feel something, we put it into words, and then act on the behavioral tendency we appraise as being appropriate. But this doesn't mean that the emotions are as we define them, as the emotion can be seen as a crystallization of appraisal processes that involve multiple internal and external components. For instance, in politics we know that what angers someone might delight someone else, depending on their political party, ideology, nation, and a host of other individual attributes. As a result, another way of looking at the appraisal processing of emotion is from the componential process model perspective, and consider that it is an elaborated process with multiple feedback loops informed by prior experience and current information. Considering emotion in this way allows us to decompose messages more extensively and effectively, and thus provides us the opportunity to best consider how media manipulates us. Klaus Scherer and colleagues consider emotion as a process in the service of four major functions. The first function is that of apprising the relevance of a stimulus based upon its relevance for an individual's needs, plans, and values. The next function is preparation for action based upon perceived appropriateness in the form of action readiness and physiological response. The third and fourth functions involve the integration of information and its categorization and communication, often through verbal means.